The Dutton legacy is about to face its darkest chapter yet. War is coming, not just to the world, but to the Yellowstone itself. The year is 1944, and the land that once stood unshaken through generations is about to be tested by fire, loyalty, and blood. This is the story of how one family fought not just for survival, but for the soul of the ranch that defines them. The Yellowstone Ranch has seen death, betrayal, and sacrifice, but nothing like what's coming in 1944. After the heartbreak of 1923, the Dutton name carries more pain than pride. Alexandra is gone, lost to the cold after giving birth to John Dutton II, leaving Spencer Dutton a broken man. That tragedy changed everything. The man once known for his strength and calm has turned into a quiet storm, haunted by the ghosts of Africa and the love he couldn't save. As the years pass, the Duttons' hold on their land begins to falter. The world around them is changing faster than ever. Tractors replacing horses, banks tightening their grip, and young men disappearing one by one into the chaos of war. Montana is no longer the isolated frontier it once was. The reach of World War II stretches across oceans and mountains, and even the Yellowstone can't escape its shadow. John Dutton II, now in his early 20s, grows up beneath that heavy legacy. He's the son of a hero, the grandson of a legend, and the heir to a land that has taken more lives than it's ever given. But unlike his father, John isn't content to live under old rules. He questions Spencer's silence, his father's strict ways, and the idea that pain must be hidden to show strength. There's tension between them, a silent battle of pride, grief, and unspoken love. Meanwhile, the ranch itself is struggling. Cattle prices are falling, and the workers are leaving to join the war effort. The Duttons can barely afford to keep the land running. The neighboring ranchers see weakness, circling like wolves. Every day feels like a fight just to keep the fences standing and the name Dutton respected. And then a letter arrives, one that changes everything. It's a draft notice. John Dutton II has been called to serve. For the first time, the Dutton legacy will leave the mountains of Montana and step onto the battlefields of Europe. The same land that shaped him must now learn to survive without him. Spencer is torn between pride and fear. He knows the cost of war better than anyone. He's lived it, bled it, and buried his ghosts because of it. And now, history repeats itself, threatening to take his only son. But that's not the only ghost returning to Yellowstone. Rumors spread that Elizabeth Strafford, the woman who once carried Jack Dutton's child, has returned. Years have passed since she left the ranch, pregnant and heartbroken. No one knew what became of her or her child. Now, with the war raging and the ranch in peril, she appears again, older, sharper, with a young boy by her side. The return of Elizabeth stirs more than old memories. Her son, believed to be Jack Dutton's heir, may hold a claim to the land itself. The fragile balance Spencer has fought to maintain begins to crumble. Two young men, John Dutton II and Elizabeth's son, both tied to the Dutton bloodline, both destined to inherit the Yellowstone in their own right. But there can only be one true heir, and as the nation goes to war, so does the Dutton family. The battlefield may be thousands of miles away, but the real fight begins right here in the heart of Montana, where loyalty is tested, bloodlines are questioned, and the land remembers every sin ever buried beneath it. Because in 1944, survival isn't just about holding on to land. It's about facing everything the Duttons have tried to forget. And for Spencer, it means confronting the truth that no man can outrun his past, not even one who's already lost everything. The Yellowstone has always been about legacy, but this time, that legacy might destroy the family it was meant to protect. Elizabeth's return is like a ghost stepping back into the land of the living. For the people of Montana, time may have softened memories, but not for Spencer Dutton. The moment he sees her riding up to the ranch gates, it's as if the years between them never existed. Her presence digs up the old wounds that never truly healed. The death of Jack, the collapse of his family's unity, and the curse that seems to haunt every Dutton generation. Elizabeth isn't the young, fragile woman he once knew. The world has shaped her differently. There's steel in her eyes now, and behind her calm tone lies a quiet determination. Beside her stands her teenage son, tall, proud, carrying the unmistakable Dutton features. He introduces himself not as a stranger, but as a rightful heir. His name is Nathaniel Strafford Dutton, and his arrival sets the entire ranch whispering. Spencer, ever the man of control, refuses to be swayed by emotion. "There's no such thing as rightful heirs here," he says to her, his voice low, the pain barely hidden. "This land belongs to those strong enough to hold it." But Elizabeth doesn't back down. She's been through loss, humiliation, and survival on her own. Now, she's here not for sympathy, but for justice and for her son's future. As she settles into the ranch, the lines between past and present blur. The workers remember her, some with respect, others with resentment. They whisper stories at night about the woman who left and the boy who might be a Dutton by blood. The ranch, already fragile, begins to crack under the pressure of her return. Meanwhile, John Dutton II prepares to leave for the war. He doesn't hide his anger. To him, Elizabeth and her son are intruders, taking up space on the land his family bled for. The tension between the two young men is immediate. One sees the ranch as a birthright, the other as an inheritance denied. Every shared glance feels like a challenge, every word like a spark waiting to ignite a fire. Spencer watches all of this with growing unease. He's a man torn between two worlds, the one that took his wife and the one that raised his son. But deep down, he knows the truth. History repeats itself. The Duttons have always been their own worst enemies. And this time, their greatest battle might not be with outsiders or the government, but within their own bloodline. As winter settles over Yellowstone, Spencer begins to feel the weight of the years pressing down. His body aches from the scars of war, his mind from the ghosts of loss. He rides out into the mountains more often, as if searching for peace in the silence. It's during one of these rides that he finds something unexpected, an old, snow-covered marker deep in the woods. The initials carved into the wood are faint but clear. A.D. Alexandra Dutton. He hasn't been to her resting place in years. Standing there, he realizes how much of her still lingers, in the wind, in the snow, in every breath he takes. It's as if she's watching, judging, reminding him that grief left unattended becomes poison. When he returns to the ranch that night, something in him shifts. The coldness in his eyes softens. For the first time in years, he speaks gently to Elizabeth. That night, over the sound of the fire crackling, they share a quiet truth. They've both lost people they loved, both sacrificed too much to this cursed land. Spencer admits that he never stopped blaming himself for Alexandra's death. Elizabeth admits she never stopped missing Jack. It's not love that draws them together that night. It's grief, shared and unspoken, binding them like the land binds every Dutton before them. But even as they find comfort in each other's presence, the world outside grows darker. News from Europe reaches Montana. The war is turning, the battles are bloodier than ever, and soldiers are dying by the thousands. Every week, a new list of names arrives at the train station. Mothers weep, fathers curse, and every family prays not to see their own son's name printed in black ink. And then one morning, Spencer finds a telegram waiting for him. It's from John, sent from a base in France. The words are short but heavy. "I've seen what war does to men. I finally understand you, Father." Those words hit Spencer harder than any bullet could. He realizes that his son, once full of defiance, is now walking the same path he did decades earlier. The cycle continues, the pain, the sacrifice, the war between duty and love. Back at Yellowstone, the ranch grows quieter each day. The workers have left to fight. Supplies run low. Even the land seems to hold its breath. Elizabeth's son Nathaniel begins helping Spencer with the chores, and slowly, almost reluctantly, the two form a bond. Spencer sees in him a reflection of what John once was. Strong, impulsive, but deeply loyal. And then rumors begin to spread again. Word in town is that the government may seize portions of private land to support the war effort, including parts of Yellowstone. Spencer knows what that means. If they lose even an acre, they lose the power to protect the rest. The land has always been their shield, their blood, their identity. Losing it would mean losing the Dutton name forever. As snow continues to fall over Montana, a new kind of war brews, one not fought with guns, but with land deeds, family secrets, and the ghosts of the past. Spencer knows one truth better than anyone else. Once the Duttons start fighting, they never stop. And in 1944, the fight for Yellowstone has only just begun. The snow begins to melt, but the peace at Yellowstone doesn't return with the spring. The world beyond Montana's borders burns, and even though the mountains stand tall and silent, the war's shadow creeps across the valley like smoke. The radio crackles day and night with the latest reports. Towns destroyed, men lost, and victory always just within reach. For Spencer, every report feels like a wound reopening. Each time he hears the word Europe, his hands tighten around his glass. Because somewhere across that ocean, his son is fighting a battle that he knows too well. The ranch, once alive with workers, now feels hollow. Every sound echoes, the clanging of tools, the distant bellow of cattle, the haunting silence of nights that feel too long. Elizabeth does what she can to keep things running, but the burden grows heavier by the day. Money is short, and the banks are circling again. The ranch's debts have become an open secret, and whispers spread that the government is eyeing their land for military use. The Yellowstone is no longer sacred, it's a resource to be taken, and Spencer knows exactly what that means, the end of everything his family built. Then, one afternoon, a jeep pulls up to the ranch gates. A young soldier steps out, dressed in dusty khaki, holding a sealed envelope. Spencer doesn't need to read the words to know what it is, a telegram, the kind no parent ever wants to see. His hands tremble as he unfolds it, bracing himself for the worst. But it isn't the notice of death he expected. Instead, it reads, John Dutton II missing in action. The words tear through him like shrapnel. Missing. Not dead, not alive, just gone. It's the cruelest kind of limbo. For days, Spencer doesn't speak. He doesn't ride, doesn't eat. He just sits on the porch, staring out over the land, as if the wind might carry an answer. Elizabeth tries to reach him, but he's somewhere else, somewhere across that ocean, standing beside his son in the trenches, reliving every horror he thought he'd buried. But life doesn't stop for grief, not on the Yellowstone. Nathaniel steps up, taking on more responsibility, working from dawn until dusk. His quiet strength earns him respect from the hands and a cautious nod from Spencer. The boy's resemblance to the Dutton line becomes harder to ignore. His way of walking, the way he looks at the horizon like he owns it. The others start whispering that maybe he is the one meant to carry the Dutton name forward. Those whispers reach Elizabeth's ears too, and she can't help but wonder if fate is rewriting the story her family lost. Then, one evening, a stranger arrives, a government man in a polished car, wearing a too-clean suit and a too-practiced smile. He introduces himself as Agent Harris and explains that the government is expanding a wartime training area. They need land, a lot of it, and Yellowstone sits right at the edge of the plan zone. You'll be compensated fairly, he says, his tone slick and hollow. You'll be doing your patriotic duty. Spencer doesn't let him finish. This land doesn't belong to the government, he says coldly. It belongs to the Duttons. But Harris isn't easily shaken. He hands over documents, stamped with government seals. You don't have a choice, Mr. Dutton, he replies. You either sign, or we'll take it by force. The next few weeks are chaos. Meetings, letters, lawyers, none of it matters. The world is too busy fighting a global war to care about one ranch in Montana. Spencer knows the system won't protect them, just like it didn't protect his family in 1923. So he does what Duttons have always done. He prepares to fight back on his own terms. Meanwhile, something changes between Elizabeth and Spencer. The shared grief over John's disappearance and the fight to save the ranch draws them closer than either expected. What started as tension slowly turns into an understanding, a connection born not from love, but from loyalty. Together, they plan, strategize, and rebuild what's falling apart. But deep down, both know that the war outside is nothing compared to the war they're starting here. Nathaniel, now almost a man, begins to see Spencer as a father figure. He learns the weight of responsibility, the cost of leadership, and the pain of legacy. But not everyone at the ranch accepts it. Some of the older hands whisper that the real heir, John Dutton II, is still out there, and that Nathaniel's place is temporary. Every night, Nathaniel stares at the horizon, wondering if the man everyone is waiting for will ever return. And then, one morning, the impossible happens. A rider appears in the distance, tired, ragged, and barely holding on. The ranch hands rush to meet him, and when he takes off his hat, the world seems to stop. It's John Dutton II, alive, but changed beyond recognition. His eyes are colder, his face older, and there's something in him that the war didn't just scar, it shattered. The reunion isn't what anyone expects. Spencer stands frozen as his son approaches, unsure whether to embrace him or salute him. Elizabeth is speechless, while Nathaniel's jaw tightens. The long-lost heir has returned, and the fragile balance of Yellowstone is about to collapse.